next to test the other thing. All right, that seems to work. Let's try the other thing. Let's see. All right. Okay. Mostly ready. I just need to feed a few fish. Is your eye, Violet? Fish are fed. I'm going to give them a few more flakes. They're all too big really to eat flakes. But if you're a little fish and you grow up eating flakes, you still like your flakes sometimes. So some of them still eat them. Hey, thank you very much. Oh, I got no volume going on here. I didn't hear any of that. Hey, happy Saturday to you, Gravity. I've not opened the giveaway. I should do that now. I got to pick a prize here. I'll tell you what, I'll pick a prize later. So it'll be something awesome, though. Okay, cool. Cool that you can hear. So, I think most people know we don't do the every Friday stream now. We just do the occasional Friday stream right after the release. But I still do player events. Oh, and I had a request from Lucien Demorte of Haven Ridge to come join them today, and I thought I'd get on, answer a few questions around here that I had coming through the AskADev channel, because we never get to all of those during the stream, and then go hang out with those guys. And prizes. I know you guys missed the prizes, so let me make sure everything looks good. Hair looks okay. Not great. Showing my, what do they call those, widow peaks or whatever. Old man hair. Let's see. Who's making noise back there? All right. Let's see. Gotta find the dev or get the questions. I did not prepare ahead of time, because it's a Saturday. This is kind of just relaxing. Let's see, I'll go back to the previous stream. Time, when was that? The release would have been on the 26th, so I'll go back to the 27th and start there for questions. Uh-oh, hold on. Dog's upset. Calm down, dog. I had the door shut for odd reasons. The robot is running, the robot vacuum. Actually, it's a robot mop. Was running around, and I like to keep it out of my office, so I keep my door shut, which upsets the little dog, of course. Let's see. Owsley says the small temple is no spawn, no deco. I think we actually answered that on that stream. Actually, I think this is where we ended. Okay, here we go. Sunday. There we go. Hold on. Dog wants in his bed. I gotta lift the covers for him. Come on, grumpy dog. Took him on a walk this morning. We never take him for walks because he hates it. But actually what he really likes is he likes us to take him on a walk, and then he'll walk about a half mile, and then he'll stop and sit down and make you pick him up and carry him. So we did a 3-mile hike this morning, so I ended up carrying him probably 2 miles out of it. He would walk every now and then, but most of the time he just wanted to be carried. Totally not spoiled. All right, let's see. And I'm seeing, let's see. Hold on, let me get back to my thing so I can start thanking people. That's not it. That's not it. Where's the stuff? Hey, there we go. Okay, Treasure Pile, thank you very much. Puddlefoot and Darton Obscuro, thank you guys. And HT Genie UK, thank you for the sub as well. And also thank Gravity. Thank you for the sub. Alright, let me see if I can find some questions now. I got a little later started than I wanted to. Let's see. Arthas Dimpleton, when are we going to have devotional shrine buffs for 3 days instead of 10 hours? I don't know why, but I thought they were 3 days. I must have missed something, but I saw that question come up and I was a little confused by that, so I guess I can probably pull up things and check. The idea being, I guess, 10 hours is like that. That's basically a day, you know, unless you're playing more than 10 hours straight in a day. But I think we just kind of want people to go back to town. I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact discussion that was had on that. I am not against increasing it, but it does encourage you to get back to visit whatever town or whatever shrines you're at or you go to. Hold on. I'm checking it just because I was curious. And if you guys want to ask me questions in chat, I will gladly answer those as well. Hold on. Let's see. How come my frenzy buff is bug? Ooh, I don't know what they're talking about. Can I get some more info on that? Gwendolyn, is patch still coming? How long should we expect double XP to last? I left it on intentionally because we had some screw-ups. There's one thing that's supposed to go live, which I'll probably put live and turn off the double XP. I'll probably turn off double XP at the end of the weekend. Maybe Monday morning. Leaving it on was sort of on purpose. Let's see. Another confusing question here. What is the most hard worker to find in game dev? I'm trying to figure out what the actual question is there. Hard worker in game dev. Can I get more clarity on the question? Hard to hire. Oh, hard to hire is... I mean, they're all hard to hire really good ones. I've talked about it before. But, yeah, I mean, the real thing is the hardest ones to hire are always going to be engineers. Going to be engineers with low level, as someone just said, engine programmers are very sought after. Yeah, anybody with low level engineering skills. But honestly, the hardest ones to hire are just any good person who has a good work ethic. That's the thing that is hard to interview for, hard to get out of them in a question, and does not have an ego, which is another tougher one to get out of them. Because when you're interviewing people, they come in and you kind of, going into an interview, I mean, you kind of have to fake an ego. You gotta, you know, so it's really tough to find the good ones. I've been famously discussed before that I usually hire more people and get rid of people who don't work out. We've been really lucky the last year or two in that the people I've hired have all worked out. But previously that was kind of just, there's some things you can't get out of an interview, which is, like I mentioned, work ethic, ego, how well they actually get along with the team long term, you know, do they mesh? Some of those things you can figure out a little bit, but they're tough. But yeah, in terms of hardest things to hire, just in general, it's always going to be engineers, and it's going to be engineers with low level experience, engineers with experience in the field, engineers who are both experienced and also like to play the game. So the rarest of all the types of engineers out there. So, but yeah, Economy designer. So that's one of those things that an economy designer is tough to hire, but it's not that tough of a position. It's tough to find someone with experience as an economy designer because in most games, someone just does it. A good UI/UX is another type position that's really hard to find. We did not have a good UI/UX person with Shroud. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff it's hard to find someone who's had experience in that, but they're not as tough to find someone who's good at it. So it's kind of finding a good person to engineer an economy is not that tough. There's a lot of people out there who have played enough games and understand enough games and can talk through it. A lot of the economy stuff, though, comes down to, it's designing an economy is basically covers the whole game, because for the economy to work, you got to have all the sinks and all the, the faucets, and you got to have, it's got to hook into everything. You've got to have a reason for people to spend stuff. I don't think our economy is amazing, but I think we've actually done pretty good considering, all things considered. Just that we paid attention to it a bit. We do have some inflation, but I would like to get the inflation down. We got to get some more stuff in there. But again, a lot of that stuff comes down to the real fix for it is more players in game. So if you can figure out how to get more players in game, that honestly solves a lot of the problems, especially in the economy, because if you have a flat player base, then it's tough to make an economy work. You need to have players both churning through but also staying and spending. So anyways, I'm blathering. Again, Dart and Obscura, thank you. Treasure Pile, Dices, resub. Submarine Mike, thank you for the resub. Let's see, hold on, I'm just checking the blessings to see how long the blessings last. Well, those are 24-hour blessings. Those here's the pot blessings. Let's see. You are correct. Blessings last 10 hours, 36,000 seconds. I am not against changing those things. Again, I understand it's annoying to every session have to go in and play. There is some design reasons for that, but I don't know that necessarily is something we're super duper tied to. Hey, thank you very much. It's all gravy for the follow, and iStar Strider for the resub. Long time iStar Strider. Gwendolyn, at least those you need only jump into the fountain. I'd rather the 3-day puzzle buffs be changed 7 days. That could be done. I've been promising some people for a while that I would go and change some of the buffs, fix up the buffs in the Rise to make the others easier to get to. I know the taming buff is the one people get to all the time. But yeah, I need to get to those. I need to get those and make them a lot easier. Just put them all together. Let's see, can we get a leaderboard for who has killed the chicken the most in the Rise? Hey, that should be in the data poll from the data stream from the public data server. All right, let me. I'm gonna try to get to a question or two here from the AskADev stuff rather than just talking to you guys. Let's see. Crossfire Bugs. This is one that I have been asked on a stream before, and I just need to get it on somebody's to-do list. I don't think it's going to be that hard. But Crossfire Bugs, can we get the mannequin clothing system linked to the vendors and conversationalist? And the answer to that is probably. I didn't see anything just from a quick glance at it that would prevent us from allowing that type stuff, from combining those two systems. There wasn't anything unique to them, so it's one that we could probably do. Again, just have to find time, and sometimes we have some tasks that set idle for a while just because of who they're on, that person may be backed up on stuff. Right now, let's see, that would probably be one and only, and he's still bogged down in real life stuff, but he's going to be back on horse stuff here soon. trying to fix up a few more horse bugs. Right now, Wizard Smoke is getting close to wrapping up his work on the pot-wide search for, citywide search actually, for vendors. Which will be, again, it will show you where, it'll give you a list of all the items that are on any vendor in the town, and then it will let you mark where they are on a map. It will not let you buy directly from them. Again, it's trying to make sure we don't diminish the value of both a good pot that people want to go to, and also good locations and, you know, a good setup on your individual lot. Let's see. This is one I can go into. There's a lot of detail on it. This is from Alexander. Would it be possible one day to place NPC vendors, crafting, cooking, etc., on private lots or dungeons? This is one of those things we've been a little handcuffed on. Changing it so they could be set on those is absolutely trivial on the tech side. This was a design choice, though, and it's one of those where we have certain, you know, buildings and you guys don't want to hear my phone the whole talk. Where we have certain buildings and things that we limit, you know, decos, pot decos, and those type things that we limit and tie to the size of the pot. And in the past, actually, I've changed some of these things, and mostly it's met with people cheering, but occasionally I get people who are quite upset because, you know, they come to me, that's why I upgraded. I can't believe I upgraded and you wasted. Now you're giving it to everybody. Blah blah. And they've got valid points. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish that line of thinking, but that's one that we haven't done. As soon as we let you place them on pots or on player lots, we could do it, but we'd still have to, I'd have to change things around so that the count is for all of these guys in the entire scene, because if not, like, if people can place them on lots and you get like 100 of them, you know, one on every lot out there, we'd still want to enforce some type of limit to them. And then I guess the other part that comes up from that is the way things load in the map. If it's on the pot, we know about the second you zone into the scene. We don't let you into the scene until we load everything related to the pot. So we have that number up front. When we start putting stuff on player lots, that stuff just gets streamed in as needed when you get near them. Because if not, like you're talking about going into a town, you know, some of these towns have 100 plus lots on them, and, you know, we don't want to load each one of those guys. I mean, you're talking, some of these towns have 30,000-40,000 total decos in the scene. We don't want to make you wait for all that junk to load in and force you to draw it when you don't need to. So anyway, some of that is just how the information is stored. We'd have to basically do away with the NPC limits on those things, which maybe that's not a bad thing. I don't know that anybody really... Hold on. All right, just reading some messages from somebody. But I don't know that having a limited NPC thing is something that people really upgrade for, so maybe that is one that's doable. Anybody out there upgrade their pot, or, you know, think about upgrading their pot just for vendor limits? I think it's more for buildings and total, you know, obviously the number one thing they look for is total square footage, but I think it's for pot decos and square footage is kind of the big things. Master Sloth might help get rid of the, let's see. Hold on, I'm catching up on chat here. Do we also, Alexander Soda asks, do we also get to know the prices from the town vendor search? Yeah, it'll show you the price. It'll let you search within a pot. This is one of those things we're trying to find, you know, happy mediums that don't break the value of having, you know, again, pots, good house locations within pots, and, you know, not making it global for lots of reasons. We are planning on showing the prices in there. I know there's the big concern if we did a global search is, you got to race to the bottom type thing of like, well, you're not going to sell anything. If it's a global search, you're not going to sell anything unless you have the lowest price in the entire world on something. Within a pot, I think there's still a little bit of a fear of that, but I think within a pot, I think that's kind of acceptable. At least in a pot, you can probably go talk to your neighbor and tell them to stop doing, stop putting stuff up at a price or agree to a price a little more easier than it is if it's a global type thing. So, hey, thank you, Sean Butts and Lebulian Heart. Oh wait, that's Lebu Lionheart. Lebulian Heart. It sounds kind of cool though. Sounded French. Let's see. Lebu Lionheart. I did actually figure that out, but Lebulian Heart does sound like a little French thing. Need some underscores or something in there, some capital letters. Alright, so I am supposed to be heading over to town to say hi to people. And I had somebody ask me, they actually, it's a funny story, Elgarion took a couple days off for just a long weekend with his girl, not like a week off or anything. And I saw somebody purchase 2 identical pot upgrades. And in the past, when I've seen that, that's usually someone accidentally doing it. And so I actually wrote the person and said, hey, it looks like you did 2 identical pot upgrades. If that was an error, just let me know and, I can refund one of them. And he wrote me back and said, on purpose, I upgraded a pot and then players upgraded the other pot, got together, but started a conversation anyways. And he was like, can you do dev events? Can you come visit? So that is why I'm in game today, is I had a player ask. And this is one of those things I tell people all the time, if you want me to come to an event, the way to make that happen is to invite me to your event. That's not 100% true. I don't show up for all of them. I do show up for quite a few of them, though. There's another one this weekend that actually I was a little hurt when I heard I was not invited, but I was not invited because the Sanyo's doing a player event. And actually, I think he'll be sitting right here in Ordinus Mortis doing it. I think it's tomorrow, though, not today. Learning from Yo. I got an event for you to meet and check out my skill stats. Why is bug? I can look at that. Let me get to Haven's Ridge, I believe is where I'm going. Is it Haven Ridge? Is that right? Haven Ridge. I keep wanting to call it Haven's Ridge. Dialable rugs. That is one. So Damon, this will both be met with cheers and jeers, but Damon is continuing to be swamped. Right now he's going to be swamped. Last few releases he's been swamped fixing some bugs, also working on some giant stuff, some giant VFX. This release, he's got some other stuff he's working on, but he's also going to be swamped because he's going to be helping me with some VFX because I'm finally getting some new skills in. Got a handful of those done last week. I ran into a couple of problems. I got a new computer. It's awesome. I got it months ago, not recently. But for whatever reason, the network card in it died on me midweek, and it died in like a weird way where it just started connecting and disconnecting. It totally felt like a router dying or internet dying or whatever. But it turned out it was actually my Ethernet card, like the Ethernet port built into the computer. And so I had to suffer through and run on Wi-Fi for most of this week and lost some time to that because it kept disconnecting me and reconnecting me. I did get a new video card in and get that set up. New skills. So I can tell you about a couple of new skills. So I can tell you the ones that are done on the technical side that may get some more design rework. Now, whether or not they absolutely make it in is still a question. So I can talk a little bit about those. Stream down for you. Network errors all over. I don't think I'm down. I don't have it up in another window so I can verify it, but I think we're good. Hold on, I'm going to pull up another one window just so I can see. Twitch. Also, I like to watch myself. I don't. Okay, it does look like it's up and working here. Okay, it does look like it's... There, see? Confirmed. So, these are not just like skills to be doing skills. These are skills that a while back I talked to a bunch of different players and got looked at the metrics and tried to find some the places where there are gaps in some of the trees. So the first ones I'm hitting up are going to be spells. There's also going to be some combo stuff in there, but some of them are also skills of convenience to some extent. But largely they're just skills of convenience in that I picked the skill for the solution because we had a VFX to fit for it. So the two of them that are going to be happening is trying to get the skill tree so they feel like they can really be played as a solo tree, at least for the magic skills. So there's some of them that are, they're good trees, they get used, but usually they're not anybody's primary tree. It's just they have some cool stuff in them. So one of those is the water, the water tree, which it has kind of the basics of what you think of. It has a, point blank attack. It's got a direct attack that's one of the more popular, but it's, single target, and then it's got an AE. The AE is the AE over time, and again, the DPS from it is not something that is worthwhile. It's super useful. The ice field's super useful. It's not something that, you can't, it's hard to play as a pure ice mage. There's not enough options in it for you. Pardon me, water. So water is getting a new spell, and again, this was one where it was partly convenient, but also because it needed it, and just I picked what type it was based on the convenience part, which is we created the giant who has a cone of cold, so we already have some of the VFX there for it. So there's ice is getting an AE cone that will be a cone of cold that will be a direct instant attack that will do significant damage. It'll have some debuff in it, but it'll be a new spell in there, so that'll be for in addition to the other stuff. Again, this is mainly because if you look at the DPS you can do with trees, there's just no way to be competitive DPS-wise with ice. Still very powerful tree, but you just can't be competitive, which means that if you can't do enough DPS to kill stuff, that's gonna always be your side tree or one of a couple trees or things that you have in there. So that was one that was a missing thing, but also convenient thing. The other one that came out of the giant was looking at the air tree, which is, again, it's another one of these popular trees, but not many people use it as their, the main tree. No, not many people are just, I'm an air mage and that's all I do. You got to combine it with other stuff. Just lightning bolt is a decent spell. Chain lightning is a decent spell. But compared to most of the other trees, those have some way to really dish out the damage, or they have an ongoing damage over time type AE of some sort that really helps. Yeah, and someone says, I know an air mage. Yeah, you can be an air mage. It's just, it's tough to be competitive on the DPS. Now, they can do it, but they don't have anything that compares to, like a meteor shower or a ring of fire. They don't have something that's a long-term, damage over time stuff that they can really throw down and then keep doing other stuff to help pile on the damage. So they're getting a new spell that is a lightning storm that, again, is another one that we already had the VFX from the giant that is going to be a damage over time and an AE. Alis, the tornadoes, is another one of the ones that I looked at, and that may come up as a combo of some sort that I may end up doing that week, just because again, it's one of those convenient type things where we have some tornado type effects. But that will probably be one that comes up from it. It may be one I was actually thinking of having it spawn. So another thing that I'm looking at that I've already got done for life is talking about things that have gaps. So life is another tree, and there's obvious reasons for it. Life is one where you can't be a solo, all I do is life, unless you're out with a party. So no, I'm not adding a bunch of DPS stuff to life, to the life tree. But it is also missing another thing that is one of those things that keep you busy in a tree. I mean, some of this is about you want to feel like you can constantly be doing something. It's not just about, can I do enough DPS? Do I feel useful enough? Some of it is also you want to feel like you're not just sitting there for long periods of time waiting. And life is one of those where you feel like, my belief is, and looking from how many spells and skills people use, per minute, a lot of life guys get bored in a lot of situations because they don't feel like they can, just sit there and do that. So giving them another thing to do and keep them busy while also contributing in other ways, they're getting that as someone says, let's see, Alexander Soda, add a summon to life. Well, good idea. Not an angel. So the summon that we're adding to life is one that is a concept I think I've talked about before, but it's more, probably the closest thing to it is it's closer to a totem summon. So rather than it being a summon where I summon an angel or something like that, or an avenging angel or whatever, it is you summon it and it is an Ankh. Looks like an Ankh, but it can be attacked. It's actually a creature, a pet, Ankh, but it does not move, so you can ground target it to determine where you want to summon it. And then the base one, I'm still torn on which one the base one is. So I've made 3 of them so far. We've talked about, I think about 8 of them. 8 different versions of it, because really, once I have one, it's easy to make other ones. But it is basically you can target a ground spot and have an Ankh that will do AE around it, basically just give everything around it bonuses. So the base one, I'm not sure if it's going to be life attunement buff all around it, or if it's going to be a heal over time, just a slow heal over time. There's also a purify one is another one I've made. But yeah, it will be one where you can summon it. And again, where you put it is going to be up to the caster, because some things you may want to have down, doing a purify one that every 5 seconds cast a purify spell, might be one you want to put down near your party if you're standing back as the healer. So but yes, deployable. But that's also another one that is a concept that I would like to get more of, and will probably be coming up as more of that type of totem stuff. I would not be too shocked if we end up adding some type of similar type totem per class, or at least for a couple of the classes. But unlike other pets that need a little maintenance, these are more fire and forget type pets too. So, all right, here I am in Havens Ridge. I think I have people. Let's see. I probably want to switch to zone here. Let's see. Hold on. I gotta go find. Gotta find Lucian. Like that one? I think it's down here. Do. Irish Eyes, land flatteners. I think I talked about this on the last stream. It's one of those things where I've got the tech done. I've had the tech done for a while, but it is problematic. The last problem I think I may have mentioned on the last stream was right now they're slow enough. If you do them, they're slow enough that if you have, more than about 5 or 10, it'll disconnect you while zoning because it takes too long and it's too unresponsive. So I still have some work to do on those to make them so I feel safe about turning them on for the game. Something I might be able to turn on again is, while I've been going through this, I've been looking at the deco code and just looking at how touchy some of these things are. That's insane how touchy some of these things are. And just making it a little more forgiving in terms of the decorating on stuff, I think solves a lot of the problems that people see out there. So that I'll try to get that separated. I had that change tied into the other, to the flattener change, so that hasn't been checked in, but I can separate that out and get that in immediately. But the flattener tech Right now, I know I can do it. I can get it set up so it's threaded and come up with some other ways to make things work, or at least give it, some keep alive stuff in there, scattered between it to keep it from disconnecting people. But it might have to wait until we move to 2020 or 2021 on Unity. There's a lot of stuff that's changed in that, but I think I can probably get it working. Again, it may be something that if you have it, I'm sure I can get it working. It's just, again, I see it on my computer, and if it disconnects on my computer, I'm on like a AMD 5900X, which is one of, if not the fastest chips out there. So, all right. But anyways, I'm here for an in-game event. Oh, somebody brought the crocodile. Let me hang out with these guys. But yes, I will still get the land flatteners in there. I will try to get the easy, safe thing in soon. I don't want to introduce something that suddenly people on low-performing computers start getting disconnected every time they come into your pot. That's not much fun. Let's see. All right, I'm going to turn off... hold on, I'm going to turn off... I guess I can do whispers. I can keep stuff over there. All right, I think it's probably safe to move my chat around, so you guys can see who I'm talking to. All right, and I know some of you guys are watching the stream and in game over here. I'm gonna try to make sure I talk to them as well, because a lot of these guys may not be in stream. Be nice to have a title for stewards. Yeah, titles, we've got it down to pretty easy for adding titles. That's one probably, Ravelox or Elgarion. Either one of those two guys could get one added for those. I will drop that on the channel in case they're not watching. Oh, you know what? No, I'm not in ghost mode. Let's see. All right. Whew. This is always one of those things. I always worry about people judging me on my typing. I used to worry more until, of course, you watch Richard type. For those who don't know, Richard, I've been doing computers since punch card days and teletype days, or tape roll days, and touched all sorts of computer and technology everywhere. Here's how he types right here. Bam, 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 bam. 2 fingers, looking at his keyboard. He's reasonably fast, but he's like half the speed of any touch typer out there. So I do judge myself when I type on stream like this and let you guys see what I'm typing, but it's all right. I have old arthritic hands. I used to be so fast at typing. Oh yeah, and if you guys do AskADev, the guys who are right here in the channel, if you guys want to do AskADev, I will jump on the newest stuff on AskADev if you guys want to do that. and I will try to answer them. This will really be the test. I'll try to answer them in there, in game, and also in voice. Let's see. So the patch, let's see, on the patch, I have one ready to publish. I have done, you guys will see when I put the patch out that there's actually, like, you'll patch and they'll be like, yay, I got a patch. And then it'll, you'll be ready to click the go play button, and then it'll be like, and another patch. Yay, I got another patch. I think it's going to do that 3 or 4 times, because each time when I've got a patch ready to go, there's some other critical thing that comes in, and I hate publishing a patch and then, an hour later publishing another patch. At least make you do it all at once. If you're on Steam, it only does the one-time patch. It auto-builds jump patches. For the other client, though, it'll be numerous small patches, so hopefully they'll go pretty quick for you. And I'm answering this in game. Which is, that's been the other reason I've left the double experience points on. I didn't want to turn that off until I got this last patch out. The last patch I can tell you is the Giant, looking at the Giant and some of the fighting. I've seen there's been some reports of bugs where they'll be getting him down, they'll have him down to half health, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's back to full health, teleports up. My guess is there's some type of bug in terms of how it is behaving with the additional health regen that I gave him. Like, that is not showing up on some clients, or only on the server, or only... There's something going on with that, but I'm pretty sure that is what he's half dead, he's half dead, he's half dead, he's full is. So for the patch, I actually turned off that part. The other reason I did that is because he's really hard to kill right now. So he's been, as of, like, after he'd been out for a week, he had still only been killed 1 time, which kind of gives you an idea of people just weren't even trying. Even though he has some really good stuff on him, I think people weren't seeing it. So hopefully with this next patch, he will be a little more killable. He'll be at least to the point where if you have enough people, you can hammer him down if you're not doing silly stuff. And he'll die when you think he's going to die. So let's see. Okay, now I got some questions coming in there. Hondas, any thoughts on raising the Kodo housing tax payments higher than 60 gold to reflect the current in-game trading price? Yeah, that's not bad. We've been adjusting. I think people saw this last round. We've continued to adjust prices on housing stuff, trying to get it again. This is still in I want to make the game not feel super punishing to new players who get into it. And some of that's been trying to balance the prices. And a lot of the prices, again, it's a big band-aid to pull off in terms of the pain for it, but it's one we wanted to do, so we've kind of rolled it out over time. But we just want to make it so both players who are already in game can, upgrade more affordably, and also new players coming into the game don't feel like it's excruciating to get stuff. So. But yeah, going along with that would be good to turn up the price to match the Kodo. I have not seen it was in the 300 range, but I'll go look and see where it is now. Let's see. Actually, I'll go ahead and drop that one on the channel. Match gold to Kodo price for rent. All right, and I see someone actually on our channel there is taking notes. Going to be taking notes for me. Let's see. Yeah, and the gold Dakota price, that may be one. It's, again, on first thought, it's easy to match it up. I think most people do pay with gold rather than Kodo, so maybe it's not such a big deal. I do worry about, that is also a gold drain. It's not really reducing the gold price, though. So I guess that's probably fine. Giving more credit per Kodo is probably the way to go for that as well. Make the game both friendlier, and also it shouldn't affect inflation much, if any at all. Because, again, I expect most people who are paying with gold will continue paying with gold. People who paid with Kodos will continue paying with Kodos. Let's see. Crossfire Bugs Eye, the Mimic. Let me look at the Mimic. So we have, I'm the closest thing we have to an AI expert on the team these days, and a lot of it is, there's still a lot of voodoo that goes on there, and every time I go to look at a bug, I find a little more voodoo, and I try to clean things up a little bit. Creature response times is one of those things that, oh my goodness, there's like 20 different ways that can break, and I've been slowly going through and trying to improve how the mimics work. Let's see, mimic pet, mimic tamed mimic chest. There we go. All right. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. And I'm looking at this one. I know that's just a report, but it's one of those things that it may be a 2-second fix. And if it is, I will fix it right here. No, the mimic is the tamed mimic. Looks like he should be responding fast. He is set to a fast response time, which means he gets a think tick at least every quarter of a second. And then he also, he should be responding fast. So if he's doing super slow stuff, some things I've seen in this is some of the animations for the specific creature get set up wrong. They're set up as like an uninterruptible idle is one that I've seen a few times. Just so you guys kind of know understand that it's not always just one little slider where I can go and like speed them up or something. But that's been one that is a little tougher, and the data to get to it's a little tougher. And it's definitely tougher to find because things have a lot of animations in there, and like sometimes the animations will be set up wrong so they can't be interrupted, and I just have to go and find it and fix it. So not the tamed mimic and the seen mimics. Oh, those mimics. Mimic. That one does surprise me. Mimic spawner. Let's see. Spawn time, manual, spawn delay, spawn. Yeah, so they're set to be spawn delay of 0. Let me check another one here. Yeah, it looks like these guys are all supposed to be set to spawn time of 0. What I'm hearing is they are not, though. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that as well in terms of the spawn, because spawning's another one of those things that can be pretty consuming in terms of resources, so we stagger a lot of those stuff. But I can't imagine what would be, like, you're not seeing a spawner, like if it's right at the start of a scene, sometimes there's like basically a queue of stuff that is being created, and data set up on server side and then sent client side and all those, syncing things up. And obviously we stagger those things. I've been looking at that side of things a lot just due to Jotungrund, which has like 200 plus active creatures on it at all times. because it had some problems early on. That's one of the things I had to fight with to get that working. But there shouldn't be anything slowing down a chest. I guess it's a pretty easy one for me to go and debug. I have to kick it many times. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's one to look into there. I'm sure my note keeper's going to have a note on that to take a look at it, but that may be an easy one. Right here from looking at the data, it looks like it should be fine. It's set to a 0 spawn delay. Some of those things, it also comes down to some weirdness, like in terms of just like where it sits on the nav mesh can delay things sometimes, and getting time to do a nav search and find a valid point to spawn it can delay it. There's a lot of stuff that can go into it, so I'll just have to set it and debug it. And also, just so you guys know, that is one of the least favorite things for any programmer out there, myself included, is doing stuff that is timing related, because we're used to, like, I'm going to go debug this thing. Let me go set a couple breakpoints. And then when it's timing related, setting a breakpoint and having the debugger stop is bad news. If I can repro it in offline, then it's a lot less bad news. If it's something where it's only when you're connected to the server, then that's a lot of ugly and will make me cry. Or make Devil Colt cry, or Wizard Smoke, or somebody else if I can hand it off to him. But we will see. But yeah, I can take a look into that too. Let's see. Leilu List Wonder, will there be any changes to the cooking tree anytime soon? I was hoping y'all might add a few more skills to the tree, like batching, and maybe efficient refine on cooking ingredients. This is one, the cooking stuff, a lot of the crafting stuff has been turned over to Elgarion. Beezus B, whatever name you know him by, is still around and helping out on that stuff, but he's kind of helping with some of the heavy lifting, and just when Elgarion runs into problems, he's one of the guys we can bounce stuff off of, and he helps us unblock him. I know he's got a lot of plans for that. I would like to see that. Yeah, the cooking tree is one. Again, we had some of these systems where it didn't seem that important in the old days, but now that Elgarion's taken a pass at some of these things, and cooking and potions, and just improving things in general on that side in terms of consumable creation, we need to take a look at them, because guess what? Now people are using them. It's amazing when you make things not suck so bad, people actually start using them, and then you kind of want some of the other stuff, like now I'd like to be able to batch more. So I'm sure my note taker will take a note, but I think Elgarion might already have plans for some of that stuff. Let's see. Artifact system needs, this is from Genie Caesar, artifact system needs rework or new arties. You made very big hit on PvE hunting, so please resurrect this part of the game. That's one that another one that I turned over to Elgarion, and I agree with all the changes he made. But yeah, I think there's still some more work to do for it, and a lot of it is going to be getting some new artifacts in there. One of the things I've been working with him on is brainstorming stats and items, because again, we don't want to just go back. The artifacts that were in there, a lot of them were very unbalanced, which gave you, like, guess what? Making really unbalanced items makes people want to really go hunt and find those things really bad. But it also makes it, that's the only thing people want to do. We want to try and get some balance in that. So I think he's got some balance. He's got things balanced pretty well now. I think there is, the thing that is really tough in our game is trying to put a value on scarcity. And by that I mean, we're trying to come, you have sword A and sword B, and we want to make sure that they may be apples and oranges, but we're trying to make sure they're balanced. But then coming up, how much do we let the rarity of the item and the difficulty of the creature that the item came from impact the power of the item? That's one of those challenges. And again, this is something that it's really tough for us to come up with a balance that I think players will agree with. Because if we make an item and we say, okay, well, we're going to make an artifact, and this artifact is more powerful than the other 5 artifacts that are kind of similar to this, just even a little bit. And we're going to balance it by putting it on this tough thing. It's on the giant, and it's rare. It only drops 1 in 50 times. Well, the second we do that, it turns into players being upset that now it's too rare. Turn up the the drop rate on those things, and we see that all the time is all the drop rate's too low. Please increase drop rate. Hey, nice outfit. Le Boolean heart. So anyway, so that's kind of the challenge in terms of the balance, and I think that's one. If I had to say something that I think we probably went too far on, I think that's the part that we went a little too far on in terms of balances. Things are very balanced, but I don't think we give enough respect for scarcity. Now, for the scarcity to get more balance in there, the other thing we have to do, which is another one that no matter what we change, generates screams and moans, so it makes it a little painful for us to touch, is item lifespan. Is making items, how long should an item last? If you have a sword, how long should you be able to keep this sword? Is it forever? Is it, as long as you want to keep paying more and more and more to do it? And how long until you have to repair it? How long until you have to do major repairs? Like trying to come up with that thing. Right now, my belief is most items in the game last entirely too long. Now, saying that makes players scream. Many players screams, adventurers screams, and they're like, why did I get the thing? But it makes some crafters cheer. But it also, in terms of the economy, that's one of those things that is a huge economy item, which is if you have items that last forever, if everything in the game is a durable good, nothing wears out, then it makes it really tough to... All right, now they're just showing off some interesting... I'm going to call them quirks, not bugs. But anyways, it's one of the tougher things in there is trying to come up with that balance as well and trying to figure out what's the right number for the economy, what's the right number for player fun, and all those type of questions. And again, no matter what we say, we're going to be wrong. According to somebody, we will be wrong. So we've got to come up with those numbers. I think we've taken a decent stab. I do think we need to have a little more, like I said, the one thing I think if I had to change balance a little bit, I think Elgarion's done an amazing job, but I probably would give just a little more value to scarcity. But again, before we can really do that, we need to make it so some items in the game break down a little faster. So, all right, I'm spending entirely... Yeah, that's totally not distracting there, Mogul Raz Dunk. All right, let's see. Hold on. Hopefully you guys have the stream on so you can hear me babble for entirely too long on answers to the dev questions. Yeah, that if I try to type out all that stuff I just said for that last answer, I think a lot would have been lost in translation where I would have been typing for the last 2 hours. Let's see. Gia. Is there any plan to give some love to the subterfuge tree? Yes. Of all the trees, it's among the most in need of love. And it's got a lot of skills in it. It's just, I don't think it feels like a super coherent tree at this moment. Oh, who do I need to thank there? I guess I need to thank Blueberry Dogs 2. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, the subterfuge tree needs some love. It is one I've got a handful of skills already lined up for. I started looking at it, making some... You're not supposed to be able to get that small. I thought I had the shrink capped at 0.2. Maybe I need to go take a look at that code. You're not supposed to get below 20% on the shrinkage. Pretty sure that's more than 20%. Just spoilers, if you go negative on shrink, it actually inverts the world and you're standing underneath the world. True story. 120% on the growth. Alright, I'll leave it alone. But yeah, here's the player scale, negative 1.5. I'll just go negative 2 for 30 seconds. There you go. If you want a party trick, guys, right there's your party trick. Hopefully it'll stop here on itself or on its own in 30 seconds. All right, let me get back to some of these questions. Good questions, guys. But yes, Jeannie Cesar, I do think the artifact system needs some more work. I think it's taken a huge step in the right direction. Right now, I do believe, like I said, it may be a little too balanced. We need to add like a little imbalance to it to go along with scarcity, especially if we're going to have stuff that is, if we can get it to the point where we really have some fights that feel like boss fights or some challenging fights or some things that are really rare and they're having some rewards in it seems appropriate. But again, it's tough to really remove stuff from the game. One of the things I really love right now is the stuff Elgarion did with the making it so artifacts can be broken down and all that work that he's done. I think that's amazing. I like I said, though, I think there probably does need to be a little bit of work in terms of the scarcity equaling a little more power, but not a ton. Let's see. Info. Would there be a chance for NPC houses, dungeons to eventually have spawnable, stealable deco? Example, an ornate vase that has a random spawn time in a dungeon of 1 to 5 days. Yeah, there's ones, unless we just make them purely deco type stuff, because, I mean, obviously you guys steal stuff from NPCs all the time, and they have that type of stuff. Unless it's that type of purely, mostly valueless type decos. I don't know that we could find a good way to balance that. I know this release, and of course I'll put him on the spot here because he may have had something else come up, but Ravlox was actually working on Player Dungeon stuff. I know he did some work on it because he sent me a new bug to deal with a couple of rooms that have pathing issues to them. So I've got to go look at those guys. But I could see something like that where you have a stealable deco that's, kind of like an NPC deco where they just have, a bowl of apples or whatever, and you can steal a bowl of apples that respawns. It's just tough. Another one of those things you have to remember when we talk about, look at, 1 to 5 days, you can have this in one. Well, we've got to have, that's a lot of stuff. That's another bookkeeping thing we've got to keep track of on the server and keep updating. So some of those things, we try to limit them. Obviously, we have some pretty big number counts in terms of stuff we already keep track of. But we do have some fairly intelligent ways to keep track of this. But there's always like lots of glitches and bugs that can come up. Like I'm sitting here trying to think how to implement that. Where we could look at just some time for when it was placed, but then like they steal it, you come into the scene, can you not see it at all? And then like there's like, okay, well now it's like there and it's like an invisible object if you can't see it. If you can see it, and then you can pick it up, and then what's going to keep you from putting it back down? There's a lot of like these type of little edge case glitches that I'm sure you guys would never ever abuse. But there's all these edge cases for how to make something like that work, and it's again, it's more than just trouble on server. It's trying to figure out like how to keep players from doing bad things. Not you. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the other guy. All right. Denarian Kruzezbun. Oh man, I've tried this for years. You know who I'm talking to. Would it be possible to add every recipe into your recipe book, at least the title of the recipe, with no ingredients, so you know what you're missing? We actually have somebody who's working on UI stuff, and that's one of many things that he has on his list of stuff to get in there. to improve. So he's working on some of that stuff and trying to improve some of that stuff. I think you guys have seen it over the last few releases and getting stuff done. He's got some issues going on. This release he'll probably be a little less productive. He's doing another move and just got some other stuff going on that he's going to be out at least a week this release. But he's getting some good stuff done for this release. I don't know for sure what part he's working on. I can probably go look at his changes that he has and give you a good idea. Let's see, what has he done lately? It looks like he has added a Lua function. Shroud get player orientation. Again, he's, for those who don't know, Devilcult's another big Lua fan and has been adding some Lua stuff in there, so trying to continue to improve on that stuff. Let's see, fix, tooltip fix, internal fix. Looks like all the stuff he's been doing since release has been bug fixes, so I'm not sure. And again, if you're wondering why I don't know exactly what he's working on, that's generally how we work as a team. Is I don't hire people unless they are both motivated, self-motivated, and also, hard workers and good decision making. So he has a whole list of things that he can choose to work on. But again, he's the best guy to judge which of these things is going to be the best bang for the buck. We have a finite amount of team resources, obviously, and he has a finite amount of time. He knows which things are, as a player, because he is a player, he knows which ones are going to give the most reward to the player for the least effort on his part. And he kind of prioritizes things around that. Sometimes we've had some stuff where we just told him, like, this has to get done, this is just painful, but it's almost always he'll pick what he's working on. So, and lately he's been working on bugs, which again is one of our things. Is the release coming up is a tick, so bugs is the priority usually. All right, let's see what else we got here, and hopefully guys in chat, guys in Havens Ridge, hopefully you're on the stream, because if not, you're probably, I don't think you came here just to sit and stare at my tune, but all of these things have too long answers to do in person. Okay, you guys are trying to show off every bug in the game, aren't you? So that is one. Is that new? The floating bug? What are you guys doing to me? That one is one that we have fixed about 5 times and always seems to come back and stop fixing itself. That is another one, though, that I've been stepping in that code, so hopefully I can take a look at that one and fix it for reals. Sorry guys, answering questions, but I'm super wordy and too long to type. No one is floating on my client, if that helps. Maybe. That may help. So we actually saw, this is one of those things, this may be a side effect. I guess I just haven't seen people sitting since I changed this. I changed some code recently, some logic for how we do our step-up stuff, because people would get stuck on a little, tiny junk. And it's had some side effects that did not expect. One of them is, if you saw like NPCs, sometimes when you would sink into the ground, that was in there for a release. Like you'd talk to NPCs and they would sink into the ground. That was a side effect from that. So I need to, apparently I need to go look at that now as a possible side effect from my change. Awesome. 1 million things to test on pretty much any of these big changes like that to fix movement problems. I'm going to come over here and sit down with these people because they don't float. They're not rude like those other guys. Let's see. Croc miniskirts win. Oh. You should talk to Damon as the guy to talk about that stuff. He is the guy. He is always looking for ideas for the release items and the rewards program bonus items. He's always looking for those. He's always trying to bounce ideas off us, and we've got a few people on the team who give good ideas, but so many of us. I'm usually the guy that's like, I've got a great idea. Let's do X, Y, or Z, and then immediately reminded we have X, Y, and Z. It's already done. Must have had that idea before years ago. Let's see. Zythar asks, can we get a crafting filter to only show recipes? Well, he says receipts, but I'm pretty sure he meant recipes. For which you have enough materials. If possible, it should also filter till one switches it back so you wouldn't have to filter it each time you do a station again. That is one that I know is already on Devil Cult's to-do list, is making a filter so you can just see the stuff you have. That's one that's been thrown out as an idea. Some of these things, they seem trivial until you get at it, and that turns into an n times m problem, where it just ends up being complex in terms of you have 1,200 items on your character, and you have 2,400 recipes in your recipe book. I don't know how many total recipes there are. I don't think there's 2,400. There's hundreds, but I don't think 2,400. So that's one that could end up being just the amount of work involved may be why he didn't do it. But he may still be doing it. Again, not 100% sure. Garaya Kulis, any movement on being able to trade and sell containers with contents in them? This is one we actually had a team discussion on this. Wizard Smoke's been highly active in the project lately and working on stuff as he's been working on the town stuff, the pot for sale stuff. And this is one, again, I think at the start it was a decision. It was a design decision that was made because there were so many concerns about people trying to exploit or trick people or support. I think that's one of those things we made some decisions early on that I think they were questionable. I mean, maybe in a world where we had 500,000 users or something, like we were World of Warcraft or something, I could see it being a customer support issue. But I mean, we've always really had the plan of being a boutique game and never trying to even cater to 500,000 players type numbers. But anyways, the concern was it would turn into support issues of players getting ripped off and bags being mislabeled or intentionally confusingly labeled, or there were some other concerns with it. But I think that originally it was a design decision, but from looking at, there were a bunch of tech decisions that were made around that. That is on, I think that's probably not the next item that Wizard Smoke will be working on, but probably the item after that. The next thing he's going to be working on is actually going to be for helping me with some stuff to get new space types in for players. So rather than it just being you can have a basement and you can have a dungeon, updating the UIs, updating the database, updating data, so you can have any number of virtual type spaces. So you can have a dungeon, you can have a basement, and if you want to, you could have a portal to your own little sand island playground or whatever. Again, it's one of those things that opens up some stuff in terms of role-playing opportunities for players and lots of other things. That is one we've already done that expansion once, so we kind of have a blueprint for how it works, but it does touch far more stuff than you would ever imagine in terms of data. And it's also one that we have to carefully engineer because it's a lot of data, and we're just trying to keep an eye on data to make sure we're not doing something dumb. I see somebody's nightmare's been killed here. But yeah, so obviously you can look at like even just a house like this. This house contains a lot of player data in terms of putting stuff into a database, and if we give players unlimited control of that, we've got to we obviously can't be fully unlimited. We've got to figure out how to manage that. So, but anyways, there's more UI that needs to be done, and more data side, and more server side, and client side for that. So that's one that I'm hoping to get some help from Wizard Smoke on to it. And also Wizard Smoke, I usually try to get him to help me on stuff when absolute 100% precision is necessary, because he is absolutely incredibly thorough to the point of being annoying. I said it. He's awesome. But he's so awesome that sometimes it's annoying how awesome he is. So, all right, let's see. I'm going to do a couple more questions here. Anybody watching this? Oh, I got 76 viewers. Oh, and let's see. I didn't. I've been forgetting to watch for who's doing stuff in terms of bits and things. Thank you, Zythar. 323 times. That's an odd number. Serpentwine. UI scaling, I see, comes up. That is one... we've got some of it in terms of the font stuff here. Some of it feels like it should be easy, but with the UI stuff, it is sometimes far more difficult than it seems. The cursor scaling is an example of this should be trivial, and then it ends up causing lots of problems, behaving differently on each platform. And then on Windows, I'm still seeing bug reports on the cursor is laggy, and it's because Windows hardware cursor has a fixed size, and you can't go larger than that. And if you go larger than that hardware size cursor, then you now are tied to frame rate and frame updates rather than it being a hardware cursor. So again, it's one of those things, the UI scaling a lot of times seems easy, it sometimes is not. And also even things like UI scaling, it'd be great if you could drag and drop stuff, or grab a corner type stuff like this, but many things you can already drag a corner and change sizes on it. So scaling would have to be something that have to be like a UI option for settings, scale 50% bigger. Then the other thing we start getting into is another one that we saw with the UI cursor. As soon as you start making things so it can scale, then some things start getting pixelated, start looking bad. The art is made for a certain resolution, and then we've got to either just ignore that we're going to upscale it and it'll look bad, or basically upscale the entire all UI to a larger size so we can downscale it for everybody, and then upscale it for the people who upscale. So there's some complexities in it. That's definitely one Devil Cult and I have talked about, but it's not trivial. And the other thing we ran into is it starts being a basically per UI type thing. There's not a global way to scale up stuff. I still believe, though, the way that our UI is rendered is most UI, not all UI, but most UI is rendered to a separate camera. And this is kind of what referred to in terms of like a virtual camera. When you think in the software, there's one camera that's rendering the scene, and most text gets rendered by a different camera. And I still am hoping there's a way that we can just do a simple hack for that camera to get that camera to scale up. Even if it's rendered to a smaller size and stretch it to the screen type thing. But again, that's where we start getting into it'll look bad if we do that. And when I say most UI, because there's other things, some things get rendered into the scene just for obvious reasons. Like you can see player nameplates. For instance, like you look at this nameplate there and you can see it go behind the chair. Obviously, that's being rendered into the scene. That's rendered by the scene camera. But most of the UI, like chat UI and stuff, is rendered by a different camera. So but yet another quirk is, even if we have UI scaling, it may not affect all UI in the game. It may only affect some parts of the UI. Anyways, yes, I know I'm long-winded, but that's really just trying to get across the complexities and how lots of things seem like they should be easy, and they're just not easy. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do them. That just means we're prioritizing, and as I mentioned earlier, we try to prioritize based on bang for the buck in terms of the effort for the reward to the players. All right, let me get back. I'm going to do a few more questions here. And then I'm going to do some prizes. I'll probably do a couple of prizes. Maybe I'll do a first, second, third prize. Let's see. Gryakulis. Since the Frost Giant is so hard to kill, will everyone in the party get something other than XP? Seems disheartening to spend so much time to down it and not get anything. I agree. We talked about some stuff. I don't think we ended up getting the things I kind of wanted in there as a as a reward. The big thing I wanted was just on death. Everybody within 40 meters or something gets some type of buff that lasts. That's kind of one of those, people who are there get a reward. It does have a lot of trophy type stuff right now, but I think it does need more rewards. Again, the next patch will make it a little bit easier. I think we were not super concerned with making sure it had the best rewards because to us, this release is still kind of testing for the Giant. And there's going to be lots of changes for it continuing going forward. So, but yes, I agree. There should be something that everybody in the party can get, even if it's just a title or something like that. And that is another one that I mentioned title because that is one that we've talked about, is having whoever gets the killing blow gets a Giant Slayer title. It's one of those things too, whenever we talk about these things as a team, there's always arguments against some things, and they're all legitimate arguments. I mean, it's a good idea to have a Giant Killer title, but then that means guess only the tank or the casters are going to get those. No healers are going to get anything. Let's see. Mogul Razdunk. Will 30-month titles happen for sub and 6-month for die rewards? I wonder if we forgot those things. That's one of those things I honestly have not done a great job of managing, that a lot of people on the team manage those individual things. Damon has been managing most of that stuff in terms of the reward channel stuff. He may have missed that one, though, if that's one that has already come and gone. I honestly don't remember when the 30-month is. But I think Lainey might have been taking notes. If she did, maybe she can take a note for the 30-month title and 6-month die reward. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple more here, and then I'm going to give out some prizes. Then I'm going to go spend my weekend with my family. Looking through here for a couple of the best ones. Could you please check the drop rate for the Chaos Mastery recipe, please? Yes, and I will mention Chaos is the school that needs the most love. Just from the earlier topic of mentioning that Subterfuge is almost the worst. Chaos is the one that needs the most love. It should be the most special tree in a lot of different ways. And it has some cool stuff in it, but it's just not, again, it's not a cohesive tree. It's not, you can't be a Chaos Mage. You can pretend you're a Chaos Mage and do some chaotic stuff here and there, but you can't really be a Chaos Mage, so. Recipe does not drop. Alright, well that's one, hopefully Laney's taking a note on that. That is one for Elgarion, because he is the one who added that. I could probably go and look, but I don't even know where he wanted that, where that was supposed to be dropping. Alright, let's see. Any chance you can pass player name and other data to our Inky scripts for our use? Code sample from Inky Docs, wish list on forum, with several useful variables to pass. Ooh, that sounds like a great one, Crossfire. And that one is, again, that feels like a good low-hanging fruit one that should be groovy. Again, I'm going to count on Laney to get that for me. Okay, I'm going to do one more here. Looking for one last good one here. Going through any of the ones I missed because I know I saw some scrollage that I missed. Oh, looks like Crossfire has some other stuff for the inkies. Any chance for players can pass scene, weather, time variables to our inky for our use? Absolutely, that seems great. And those are things that should just be simple tokens, stuff we need to update for the inky stuff. Yeah, those should be are super easy. All right, now I'm gonna look for one more. I'm gonna scroll back up to see some of the ones I missed. 3-day to 7-day. I see two I'll answer here. So Findos Darkwood. When will we get more better non-combat bars? The non-combat bar is functional. It is one, it's again, some of it is just due to the pain of changing it. Some of it is just due to design. It's one that's kind of, I mean, I think most players who've been here a long time know how the project happened. Some projects that were crowdfunded basically have said, and I'm not casting judgment one way or the other on either one of these, but they've worked completely behind the scenes with very little to show to players for years and years and years, and are maybe just now or still haven't really let the players get in there and dig in and give some solid feedback. We went the complete opposite route, for better or worse, which is we did crowdfunding to get started, and we promised to get stuff in your hand day one, and a lot of that has resulted in good things and bad things. But some of it has been some stuff has evolved. The task bar, the non-combat bar, has evolved as we try to expand its functionality, but we also have to balance we can't let you put anything you want down there because we have so many things that can go into it. I think if we were going to expand it, give you more task bars, it would need some careful scrutiny of what can go in those things, go in that taskbar, because now the non-combat bar has some stuff that's borderline combat stuff, and we can flag it so it grays out when you get in there, when you get into combat, but again, it would need some serious scrutiny to make sure we're not breaking balance and changing stuff up, because again, over time, just due to convenience and some things being on the edge of combat and non-combat, a lot of stuff has crept down into that bar. So anyways, I think we could do some stuff. The thing I've suggested for a while is that we just give you guys the ability to have buttons that you can use to execute stuff, but that has the same restriction. We've got to go back and look at anything that's going to go in those. We got to re-examine the functionality of or the balance of the item to make sure what we're giving you. Is it something you can use in non-combat? Is it something you can use in your non-combat bar in combat? Or is it something you can have in your non-combat bar that grays out when you go into combat and go back and take just a full pass over the 400 plus possible things you can do in the game, runes that could go into those things in the game. And actually it's more than that, because you get besides all the skills, you've got all the consumables and those type of things. I forget how many total executable skills there are, but it's in the 600 range, I think. So we kind of need to go and take a pass at that. While Elgarion has been amazing at doing stuff, I hate throwing that type of just repetitive, painful type task on him at this point. But it is something we have looked at, and it is one of those things in terms of expanding the bar. Adding bumping the bar up to 12 is another one that we've talked about. As I mentioned, having a way to do through Lua or just through drag and drop, being able to drag and drop a skill onto your screen is another one we've had, and just making it floating buttons is one that is probably more feasible. The fear with that's not super hard to do, but it is one of those things that can get really, your screen gets really cluttered, and that's, again, as we've evolved over time, I think early on the idea was UI is going to be super incredibly simple, like nothing on screen. We just absolute minimal UI. And I think over time we've realized that, we have, because it's a pretty complex game in terms of, it's turned into a pretty complex game in terms of skills and what you can do and all the different stuff you need to know in the game. We've quickly been rolling that back in terms of how much information we give you and how much UI we show. So maybe that's one we don't worry about as much. I think the original fear was, and this wasn't just Richard in Star, this was, a lot of people were fearing, like, going looking at UI screenshots, and if you want to see Richard's nightmare, go pull up like any WoW Raider screenshot of what their UI looks like in game. Now, for a lot of people to look at it and be like, wow, I can see everything and it's all right there and there's my 40 party members and all the, but the UI is, it's the opposite of what the game wanted at the start. And I think that's been where the early on fears of making it so you can have lots and lots of buttons on there come from. Now, though, I think we probably can at least do some extra stuff on there. Anyways, too much talking. The other one was, I saw there was a comment, Bridge Troll was asking about the patch coming up and what's going to be in the patch. And the patch will have, there's a number of small fixes in it, not that much stuff. There's actually something that I meant to turn off, but I think I've just decided I'm going to leave it on, which is doubling the experience that you get from harvesting. This is another one as we try to look at different things that feel like they're not worth the effort in terms of experience you get from them. A lot of people felt farming as one of those things, that farming did not feel rewarding enough in terms of the effort involved with doing it. So that's one that I think is getting just the harvesting part is getting it. We talked about adding experience to watering. But due to a number of other reasons, that is actually more difficult than it seems like it should be, and raised some concerns about ways it could be exploited. But making it so the harvesting, that's one that you've done the full cycle. We know the times on those things, and we know, we can put numbers to that. So the experience for harvesting will double in the patch. That's another one that's coming up. The giant will be a little easier to kill, not much. He will be the same. He will just regenerate he'll be less resistant to effects that reduce his heal rate, and his overall heal rate will be down slightly from what it was. So he'll at least be able to grind through them eventually and beat them down if you know what you're doing and you're using, probably unicorn, poison, and skewer and all the general stuff to try to keep stuff from regenerating. If you know what you're doing and you're working as a group, you should be able to do it. So we'll see. But again, we do kind of consider him still in a semi-testing release, this release. And yes, Elwin is right. We were in 2x before. This is actually 4x. Let's see. So that's in there. There's a couple bug fixes. I'm trying to think. It's really just a handful of bug fixes. The reduction of XP from, or the doubling of experience, the reducing of the difficulty of the giants slightly. I'm trying to remember what else. It's probably about it. Alright, who's spamming up the universe channel with the curse words there? Dude, there's Dev right here. Come on, man. No, don't keep adding curse words there, people. I'm not on an adult channel. Alright. Here we go. I'll hide my chat. So, there we go. So, I didn't say what I was going to give out for prizes. I guess I can do that now. Let me see what I can do for prizes here. I'm trying to think if I have a good way to do a drawing just for people who are in the scene right now. I don't think I have an easy way to do that. I think I'll give out some Looks like we got some conversationalists. Speaking of adding features to those guys, we got some conversationalists on sale. So maybe I'll do a Bear Clan. Oh no, Pumpkin. Halloween's coming up. We'll do a Pumpkinhead conversationalist. And then we will do a From the Vault. Let's see. Got the Evil Eye. I'll give out an Oracle Throne. And then for the third prize, I will give out something awesome. Probably not that awesome. Ooh, let's see. Like those guys. How about, and this one is going only to people in the channel who have done a raffle, so you gotta do the exclamation mark raffle. Do that now, people. If you haven't already done it. I think I'm gonna do a town. I always like that little town one. Maybe it's city. We just lowered the prices on stuff, so giving away a city home is actually not outrageous. You guys can get upgrades pretty easily. Let's do the... Ooh. This is possibly the most annoying house in the game if you see it in your town. I know some people were upset if one of these gets placed in their town. Man, it's so tough. How about... Am I getting any feedback there? Free virtue realignment tokens? I think raffle is working. Let me go verify that it is working. Oh yeah, I've got like 70 people in there now. And more going in. I think it waits and queues up, and so it doesn't say give a response every time someone does a raffle. It may not give a response if you've already raffled as well as the other thing. How about... That's the water version. Do we not have an Obsidian Tower non-water home? Or is that maybe in the vault? That may be a restricted one. Why am I not seeing? I'm sure you guys know. Alright, well I'm going to give away... Oh, maybe it's not going to be an ends and a sorted. I know you guys like the ends. Oh, it's so tough to decide. I'm going to go with this guy. This is a pretty good one in terms of usability. Anybody should be able to use it because it has it's a row lot. And it's very desirable in terms of shop because it's the one that's open in front. As a dev, I personally hate this one because it's a performance challenge. You got to like show all the stuff inside of it. Nothing gets hidden when inside. But we'll do that one as the storefront greenhouse 4-story row home. It's a nice 4,400 crown item, and also anybody can use it and very desirable. So we'll go with that one. Every town loves having a bunch of those guys in them. Okay, so here we go. So the first one's going to be that first thing I purchased. If I can remember what it was. Hold on, let me get back there. I think I can do... There we go. So first thing... Oh, 1,200... Okay, the Conversationalist Pumpkinhead. Did I not buy the second thing? I guess I didn't buy the second thing. Okay, well, the Conversational Pumpkin... Oh, there it is. Okay. Then the Oracle Eye Throne will be the second name I draw, and then the third name I draw, the grand prize winner will get the greenhouse 4-story row lot. Here we go. You ready? Okay, I'm closing the raffling. There goes winner number 1. This is the Conversationalist Pumpkinhead. Bam! Daniel JMCL. Message me in game if you're in game. I'm sure you're in game. If you're not in game, you'll have to give me your name. I know you've told me this like 1,000 times. I'm sorry. My brain's too old to remember all those names, but you can whisper me in game. Let's see. He's not in zone. Okay, well I can message him. Hey, does somebody in the scene here want to be the responsible for giving away these prizes? Huh? You can make them be nice to you for like a week or something. All right, let's do another one. Pick winner. So second one here. This will be the throne from the vault. The Oracle Eye throne from the vault. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Hey, Crossfire Bugs Eye. See, it's karma. If you ask a lot of questions, you get rewarded. All right, now for the grand prize. Let's see. Grand prize, you guys ready? I was looking around for Crossfire. That kind of filled up in here. Crossfire got the bone, or the throne, that is correct. Let's see. And actually, I'll give these to Lucian, and I'll give him something for his pot, too. Give him a reward for his pot, since he's a new... he upgraded his pot here recently. You guys ready? Last one. Get ready? 3, 2, 1, click! A Blinken. A Blinken. You are the semi-grand prize winner. Lucian, is that cool with you? Hey, there's... Alright guys, for those who are the winners, you will get your prize from Lucian. You can either mail him, you can say hi to him, you can message him, you can whisper him, whatever. Oh, there's Crossfire. Okay, fine, I'll give you your thing now. Let's see, you got the throne, I think. Do. Can't if you're me. There you go, Crossfire, and it's even special because I removed the no trade thing. I have a command I can do it otherwise, but let's see. No Crossfire, okay. I saw I got a whisper from the winner of the first item. There we go. Daniel JMCL. I'm looking around to see if he's near me. I don't know that he is. Okay, well, I'm going to give the grand prize. Daniel JMCL won the first item. Abe Lincoln. Did we ever figure out who he was? I know I'm horrible. I probably missed something. Give mine to Lucian. It sounds good, Abe Lincoln. I'm gonna give you the, not the throne, the greenhouse. What is that thing? Ooh, that's a golden one. Ooh. Ornate 4, I think that's that it? No, that's not it. Storefront, that's the one. Alright? I think that's it. And then I'll teleport to the last guy. Oh, and I'll give, I need to do something here. Let's see. I'm not sure what stuff you need for your pot. Gold one is yours. I'm not sure about that. Let me see. I'm not sure what stuff you really need for your pot there, but let me see what property, town improvement stuff you have out here. What's some desirable stuff? All these are a little tough because you got to be really desirable if you're going to have them. Oh, circling dragons. Everybody wants circling dragons. If I were in this town, I think I'd want a green circling dragon. I'm going to go ahead and do some green circling dragons. And then I'll teleport to the last winner. Whoop. No, not that. Let me click on him. Lucian, that is for your town, if you want to throw him up. An extra container slot. Alright, and then I'm going to teleport to the last person to deliver their prize, assuming they're still on. If not, I will give it to... I'll go back and give it to Lucian. Well, again, hopefully you guys who are in the pod or watching the stream, thanks for having me to your town. Congratulations. I didn't do that big of a walkthrough, but what I saw looked cool. And here he is down here botting. Bot. I'm just kidding. She. I know you're not botting. What was this? This was the, not the throne, this was the pumpkin head. There we go, conversationalist pumpkin head. There we go. And congratulations. All right. Guys, again, thanks for joining me on a Saturday. Glad I could stop in here and answer at least a few questions for you. I will try and get the patch out. Maybe I'll do push the patch out first thing tomorrow morning. I think I did have it ready. The last time I didn't push it out, it was mainly because of timing, that there were events going out. If I can get it out tomorrow morning, it'll be fine. Though, why is it still raining here? I think that's got to be a bug with the. Maybe they had a pot thing, because I don't think we have weather in our hub. There's some bugs I've had. For those who don't know, there's some decos to change time, and I've had some bugs on me that some people want fixed, some people do not want fixed. So there will probably actually end up being two versions of those: one broken time machine type version and the non-broken type time machine version. But guys, thanks for joining me on a Saturday. Glad I could jump in here and say hi to people. Again, if you want me to visit your guild, your pot, whatever meeting, I can't guarantee I will be there, but I definitely will give it a try. I do try to keep my weekends open for family stuff, but since I'm not doing Friday streams, I save that time, so I feel like I should be giving that back to you and do something like this once a week or so. I believe tomorrow is going to be Sanyo talking to a couple guilds in Ordinus Mortis. I don't know that they have a single guild that's for. I know there's always different guild people there. I think it's more of an Ordinus Mortis type group that has people on there. But if you want to, they're pretty open about letting people watch that or join in for that, maybe. I may have just invited you, even though you're not invited. We'll see. But anyway, Sanyo will be there answering questions. If you don't know who Sanyo is, he is an old Origin guy. I'm trying to remember all the stuff, Star Wars Galaxies and other stuff I think he's been on. He's been on a number of different MMOs. He does pretty much all the quest writing stuff. He also makes levels. He also does your pot stuff. We wear a lot of hats on the team. It's a big project for for a dozen people or less. So everybody's got to do lots of stuff. But he also did made the Smuggler's Run scene this last release and did all the writing for it. So he'll be on and get your questions ready for him on that stuff. He is, I've told him to be honest about stuff, so feel free to ask him some, well, not too tough, but ask him some questions you want answers to. So, guys, I think that's it. I will see you guys next time I get invited to one of these things, and I will talk to you later. Enjoy the game, and I will try to get a few of the things you guys talked about figured out. It sounds like, again, I'm not sure why the guys aren't spawning That may be, again, one of these weird timing things that was set up for performance reasons, but I'll figure out why the mimics aren't spawning until you kick them three or four times. Let me try it. Here's a mimic right here. Let me try it. Ah, oh, got me. Just kidding. That was an exploding chest. But anyways, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and I guess that's it. Talk to you later. Oh, I need to know what I need to do. I need to find somebody to go raid. Rookie. Why am I not seeing my stream? I know I had that up somewhere. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Oh, Skeggy. Not even. Oh, well, they got Sid there too. Sid Deckard's also pretty awesome. I'll flip a coin here. 1 is Skeggy. 2 is Sid. Why am I not seeing that? Why did I not see the thing? Ah, there we go. Whoops. Am I ghosted? What's going on with my... Oh, there it is. It showed up both times. It just was scrolled off too far. So both times I rolled it 2, and both times it was a 2. So I'm afraid this means it was destined to be Sid. Let me make sure Sid allows chat in his thing. If Sid allows chat... Got it. He does. You can chat there, so you are welcome to go join Sid. You are also welcome to bail out that. And go watch Skeggy, who is also freaking amazing. But, trying to be fair and not play favorites. I am doing the random thing. We will go raid Sid. Again, guys, feel free to invite me to your stuff. You can message me. The thing I'm most responsive on is, honestly, on Twitter. I'm pretty responsive. I try on the forum stuff. You can also message Elgarion. You can also, there's lots of different ways to get me, but be patient and try contacting me a couple different ways if I don't respond to the first. And happy to come in. And also, if you want to come in and do a voice chat thing, so your people ask us, that's what I know the guys in Ordinus Mortis do, is they ask, everybody writes down their questions ahead of time, and then they have someone who basically interviews me. But up to you, but invite me. Glad to come talk. And let's go raid. See you guys next time. Be safe. Bye. Done with that.